the ability to buy your time back is, I think, everyone's greatest goal. It's said in many different ways, but it always comes back to time. But the way that they can do that, they can use their business to not only, duplicate themselves so that they are not the only one doing the job, scaling that business, making it more valuable along the way. They can use that business to help them buy assets like their own dental office building, the real estate. One day when they no longer own that business, if they sell it, they have to ask themselves how they're going to have income. And that asset may be able to provide them a passive income stream, in retirement. And that's something that in our world of taxes, I think the aha moment for me was that when people are just focused on taxes and taxes they pay, the more income you make, the more taxes you pay. But the trick in the tax code is the more assets you buy, the less taxes you pay.
Today, we introduce you to a remarkable individual who holds his immigrant grandparents as his greatest heroes. These courageous souls embarked on a daring journey from Czechoslovakia, armed with nothing more than $3, a guitar, and 2 children, all in pursuit of a fresh start in the United States. Their story is one of resilience, hope, and the embodiment of the hero spirit. Our guest, Chris Sands, is not only deeply inspired by his family's legacy, but has also made a significant impact in his own right. As the co-founder of Profi 20 Dental CPAs, a firm dedicated to providing essential financial clarity to the bustling world of dental professionals, Chris has played a pivotal role in helping these practitioners maintain profitability and stay well-informed about their financial matters. His mission extends to the educational realm, where he has delivered financial literacy presentations at dental schools across the nation. Through this experience, he uncovered a glaring gap in the education system, the lack of business acumen crucial for these future dental business owners. In today's episode, we dive into the profound concept that money is, at its core, a form of tokenized time. Chris passionately shares insights on why achieving freedom through entrepreneurship is the ultimate aspiration that unites us all. We explore the type of financial guidance many people seek, the kind that can steer them in new and desired directions, paving the way to their dreams. Chris also offers valuable wisdom on the art of bonding with your team, fostering an emotional connection that ensures they feel valued and supported within your business.
Chris Sands, thank you so much for joining my podcast. I believe that heroes and entrepreneurs require an anything is possible mindset. And I know you've proven that. One of the reasons we named this podcast, or the Heroes Podcast, is I only want to have people on this podcast that are personal heroes to me. And also, when you take it, and you're clearly that. And I also want to have people on our podcast that I decided 35 years ago I wanted to be a hero to entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial thinking people. And I've designed a business around trying to find people that wanted to be a hero to the same group. So when I talk about a hero, what is a hero to you? How do you define a hero?
Well, I think when I was pondering that question, the first answer, the first quote that came to mind was, the quote of with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that no matter what you do in your life, we all have the potential to create great power in the work that we do. And it's in the responsibility or stewardship of others, I think, that creates heroes. Being able to create meaningful impact and change in people's lives for the better. I think that's what gives us fulfillment. It's not just we have our personal goals and our personal desires, but when we're able to, I think that feeling when you do good for someone else and you witness that impact and that change in them. So for me, I think that's really the culmination of the concern and for the well-being of others, but really just the service of others is what culminates the definition of a hero to me.
Who are do you have any personal heroes? Like people like you look up to? Like when I was a kid, it might have been like Willie Mays, or as an adult, I love Mark Messier, the captain of the Rangers. But it's also the cops and firemen and the people that teach your children right from wrong, and the people are in our local community building a community center. Those to me are heroes. Is it your parents? Who are heroes to you?
Yeah, I think that heroes come in all different shapes and sizes. Of course, we have our sports heroes. I like the ones who have changed the world. Changed the world of their world in sports. Let's say even obviously the Michael Jordans and those characters. But yeah, my heroes are more personal. I've had mentors both in business, but just personally, and some of my heroes have passed. My grandparents were some of my greatest heroes. They immigrated here in 1968 from Czechoslovakia at that time, came with $3, a guitar, and 2 kids, started their life over, and built a life with a great foundation. I never knew them to have any debt. They owned businesses. They served a lot of people, and they were just genuine folks. They helped raise me, and those were my first heroes, I would say.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about doing this podcast for me is it allows me just a minute when I hear you talk. It gets me a chance to reflect on my life a little bit and the people that were important in my life. But one of the things that I see about you, and obviously in disclosure, you have a partner, Brent Saunier, and the two of you are an incredibly powerful combination. But one of the things that I see that differentiates you from other folks that I've met is that your business is not about debits and credits or taxes and accounting. It seems to more that you help people use their business to build a better life. Tell people about your philosophy.
That's the entire goal. I think that I wandered into this strange niche career path or niche market of working with dental entrepreneurs, and I wandered into it genuinely. I actually volunteered to work in a business for free just to learn the business model and see if I could make it better for that business owner.
How old were you when you did that? How old were you when you go, I'm gonna be an apprentice and work for free and be a master of this business? You were like 20, 25, 26?
Let me see. At the time of doing that, I was probably around 25 years old.
That's all. But that is so rare.
Yeah, it really was. And I think I thought to myself, I was not necessarily fulfilled in the work that I was doing. I've always kind of been in sales, and I think that the sales make the world go round. But I wanted to see a direct impact with someone, and I was able to kind of have a hands-on experiment change the entire course of my life and my career. And I found that here was a population of people, dentists, that a lot of them were entrepreneurs and business owners, but just kind of like maybe by default or by accident, they thought that they should do that. And many were struggling or having pains with it. And I was no expert at the time. And I decided the best way to learn and be a hero to someone else was to have that hands-on experience myself first. So that became the passion of mine. And never, ever in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would be in the business of accounting. It's not the business of accounting that excites me. The accounting is really a tool. I consider us a data company, and that gives us the data and the tools we need to be able to give advice to create change. And a lot of the advice or a lot of the change that has to occur, the accounting just helps identify the symptoms, and we have to then help find the solution for them to go implement, or to find that other hero in their life to help them make a change in their business or their financial life.
I notice as I work with more and more of your clients and you work together, I notice you do well with everybody, but you do especially well with people who are big thinkers and people who are loyal and people who appreciate your expertise. And I could go on, I could probably give you about 8 or 10 or 12 characteristics. But one of the things, I've talked a little bit about this in the past, is many people think because they own a business, they're entrepreneurs, where most of the people who own a business have bought themselves a job. Could be a good paying job, but it's a job. How are you helping unleash entrepreneurs? And can you create an entrepreneur, or are they born?
Now, that's a good question. Now, I think entrepreneurs can be created, but I think it starts with the right mindset, that they have to and mindsets can be changed. I do believe that. But really, it's taking someone who is excited or has a desire to grow or to have a serious change in their life. That's what's magnetic to me. That's what I gravitate to. Every morning I wake up, I say, what opportunities am I going to find? What problems am I going to find? And who am I going to impact? And if someone is like-minded and they have a desire for a better life for themselves and a better life for others and those that they work with, those that they serve, that's what's attractive to me. I try to teach that you can use your business, okay, not only to build that personal income, maybe beyond, just owning your job, but to also to buy back your time, okay,
Absolutely.
and give yourself some freedom there. And that's ultimately what we're all after. I mean, you and I deal in the world of finance or money, and money is really just tokenized time, and the ability to buy your time back is, I think, everyone's greatest goal. It's said in many different ways, but it always comes back to time. But the way that they can do that, they can use their business to not only, duplicate themselves so that they are not the only one doing the job, scaling that business, making it more valuable along the way. They can use that business to help them buy assets like their own dental office building, the real estate. One day when they no longer own that business, if they sell it, they have to ask themselves how they're going to have income. And that asset may be able to provide them a passive income stream, in retirement. And that's something that in our world of taxes, I think the aha moment for me was that when people are just focused on taxes and taxes they pay, the more income you make, the more taxes you pay. But the trick in the tax code is the more assets you buy, the less taxes you pay. And it's because the government wants you to buy assets that in their eyes, they see improve our economy. And that's really assets that employ people. So you buy a business that employs people, there's great benefits there. Then you buy commercial real estate for that business. It houses a business that employs people. And these are things that you can own personally, that you can impact a lot of people through, and ultimately create a life that you want. But I think that's the key piece is people have to start backwards and really define what is the life that they want. How much time do they want free? How much is that going to cost? And build assets to give them that income to cover that cost. So maybe I went a little too detailed there, but in essence, that's the long-term goal with everyone that we work with is how do they get their freedom, from being a slave to the business, and how do they get their freedom while they own the business and in later years when they don't.
Was Profi always dental specific, or were you broader at one time?
It was always dental specific. To get our company started, we started with we purchased a firm that was a generic firm, but we've since sold that book of business off, and we are 100% dental focused. So we serve right now a little over 450 practices in 43 states.
That's pretty damn impressive. I was going to say, so if I'm a dentist out there and I'm saying I'm trying to look I've got a CPA that's not dental specific. Why would I hire your firm, and why would I? What's the value proposition if I'm thinking, am I missing something? Is there a bigger, better deal out there, and what would that look like?
Well, I think we talk. There's a few sayings. I used to beat up CPAs before I founded a firm where I employ many of them. I used to say that number one, most CPAs come in and count the bodies after the war is over. And so a lot of times all you're doing is filling out paperwork to document last year and be compliant and file your taxes, meaning there's not a lot of proactive advice there to make change going forward in the future. And that's one of the downfalls of just the accounting profession in general. Number two, I would say that CPAs would know the cost of everything and the value of nothing.
Wow. Wait, say that again. CPAs would know the value, the cost of everything, the value of nothing. Wow. Oh, that's hardcore.
and we have these meetings in our firm where I say that, I remind people of that. And the mission is to be the opposite of that, because a lot of times they think that the value is in nitpicking, expenses, and they don't think of, or they don't know, what's an investment in the business. And that's because I think people need to realize too, that just because someone is a CPA does not mean that they're an entrepreneur, or even if they own their own CPA firm, it doesn't mean they're a good entrepreneur. It's knowing how to invest in the business to scale beyond yourself, and knowing, whether you put money into marketing or retirement plan. Both of those are an investment. Both of those have a return. Both of those are tax deductible. Which one is the wise thing to do? And taking a look at life through that lens of what's the wise thing to do, not just do this because the code is written this way. You know
what I find interesting in a lot of relationships, and I think it was always that way. I think, having everybody with their face in a phone all day has just exasperated, made it worse. But it's amazing to me how many people in all fields, but let's stay with your field for a second. How many people have a just totally transactional relationship with their accountant? I send them a few papers, or her a few papers at tax time, and they tell me how much tax I owe, and I get a return, and that's it. And I don't think you have any of those clients. I think every client you have is a transformational client. If I'm in a transactional relationship now, part of it is I think part of it has to be that the doctor or the practice has got to want to be in a transformational relationship. But why would they want to be in a transformational relationship? Won't it cost me more money? I go, it obviously may, but what's the value proposition? Or is it an investment or an expense? And clearly it's an investment. What do you tell people who are shocked because all they're getting is a tax return from somebody who spends an hour a year on their return and think they've got an account?
Right. It's kind of like, you get what you pay for. You ask, for the fee that you pay someone else, how long would you sit chairside with someone? I think that both, in my world of working with dentists, both accountants and dentists are guilty of that, knowing the cost of everything and the value of nothing. I think you have to come to a point where you're willing to make an investment for something you want, not just the bare bones of what you need. I'm blessed to be in a business where, and both dentistry and accounting are required. People may dislike both of those things, but they have to do them. Okay, they have to. So they may be required by law, right, to file their tax returns. But that's just the basic bare bones need. What everybody wants is they want advice. They want advice and something that, again, is going to give them an idea or an aha that they've never had before, that might take them in a different direction or the direction they wish they were going. And a lot of times we have to rattle their cage to do that. It's oftentimes, I call it even financial detox, from the ways and the behaviors that they've worked with their accountants. I don't know how else to explain it other than it has to be something that you want. Our firm for sure is not a need. We are a desire. I built it out of that experiment, out of my own frustrations of everything that I handled or experienced firsthand when I was in that dental practice. Not being able to get financials on time, not being able to get proactive advice, or not being, when getting advice, I learned that they just knew the accounting. They didn't know anything about our business. So we really are, again, I call ourselves a data company. That accounting gives us data, but we're really an advisory firm on the kind of the financial side of the business of dentistry. We're not practice management consultants, but we try to help people make the most wise use of the money within their business.
One thing where you and I, at least I don't know about for you, but for me, where I immediately connected with you was one of the things that was always a pet peeve of mine is you would sit down with somebody and you would take their business and you would double or triple their income. And you'd think, wow, I've changed Joe or Susie's life for the better because I tripled their income. How amazing this is. But they had bad values around money. And I didn't double or triple their problems. I quintupled or 10x their problems because they still had the same bad values around money. They just had a lot more of it to create more chaos. And you actually, that's like an area of core competency or an expertise that you have. Share with people about what that is, because it is it is like so spot on, Chris. I go, when you and I started talking about that, I go, that's a guy that that's got his finger on the pulse.
Yeah, the real business that we're in, Mark, we might be in different facets of it, you and I, but the real business that we're in is behavior modification, behavioral finance. So everyone thinks in the back of their brain, they think, they compare themselves to a different income. If they're making $200,000 today and they compare themselves to a $2 million year income, their brain tells them, oh, all my problems would be solved. They also don't put that into context of, oh, what if I was making $2 million a year, but I had $6 million of debt and my minimum debt payments were $60,000 a month? That's a real life story. But they think that income is the greatest determining factor of success. And you and I know that in terms of like personal financial success, net worth is really the scorecard.
Right.
But when money finally becomes more abundant, more expenses, new things tend to show up, and behaviors change, egos show up. There's Parkinson's law that basically says expenses will naturally rise to meet incomes. And so once we help people solve, the income problem, the revenue problem is the harder problem to solve. Accountants can't solve it. I tell our accountants that all the time. Your job is to point these entrepreneurs in the direction for how they can improve their income. But once that is solved, you do have to create new behaviors, new either systems or habits that are enforced both in their business and their personal life. Otherwise, we can be our greatest nemesis, to ourselves.
Sometimes with all the sophisticated high-end stuff that we do, sometimes it's just the simplest common sense stuff that makes sense. I mean, it's like it goes back to like 101 when I was 22 years old. There's 3 things you can do with your money. You can save it, you can pay your bills, or you can spend it wildly. And if you don't do it, if you do it in any other order, there's not one dime to save. And right. So I've created the wealth in my life by taking 25% of what I make and save it right off the bat. I pay my bills second. But third is, once I've done that, it's given me the permission slip to do some crazy things, do some crazy expenses, give money to charity, buy a car that I needed like a hole in the head, do something wonderful for my parents when they were alive. Just do frivolous things because I felt like I took care of business first. And it's like telling people to spend less than what they make. It's like some revelation to some people, like you've come to God and you have all these complicated, sophisticated things. And sometimes it's just helping people with common sense, which common sense seems to be so uncommon these days.
Well, I think, just a small example of that is that we try to have every single one of our clients have multiple bank accounts, both in their business and personal life. And both
why do you do that?
The more money you have, I think the more accounts you need, and those accounts need to be purposeful. They need to, if you have a goal, you need to have a bank account with a name on it of what that goal is. If you've never had an associate and you want to get your first associate, you should have a bank account titled associate. If you want to own your office building, have a bank account titled office building or real estate.
So it's like a visualization, because I see that statement every month or every time I go online and I go, I'm keeping my goals on track at the same time.
Yeah, and the more that you look at the accounts and the money, the more you take a personal inventory of your personal financial life and your business financial life. That's my first habit every morning. I wake up, I run every morning from the bed to the bathroom.
Oh,
and then I get myself going. I'll have coffee, workout, but the first thing that I'm doing on any kind of device is I'm doing an inventory of all of my accounts. And then I do it every single day. And it starts the mindset off that day of what I need to focus on in business and financially. And I think that's something that very few people do. And you'll find that the more sophisticated they become, the more goal-oriented they are, they will have more bank accounts with a purpose named. And you have to move money on the frequency that it moves. And so for all of our clients in dentistry, they're receiving collections daily. We really coach them to move their money to different accounts daily. Otherwise, it will get consumed in the business. Again, Parkinson's law will eat it up. So
I think that is, I had not heard of Parkinson's. I know I've heard of Parkinson's disease, but not Parkinson's law. So that's a new one. I'm going to write that down and be able to use that. When you have 450 practices and growing, I think that was the number you told me. What's the one or two things that are common to everyone, or you see most frequently, and you go, where somebody go, I thought I was the only one that was suffering from that or had that issue? Is there something that you see that comes, that you're dealing with on a regular basis that people think are unique to them, but it's really unique to everybody?
Well, I think that in the evolution of a small business, or in this case, a small dental practice, growing to a larger enterprise, first it starts off with maybe being able to find clients or finding new patients, and getting their marketing right. But then it evolves more into their team, and making sure that they have their team on the right mindset and trained. But the hardest one of all, and the one that I get the most passionate about, is when working with associate dentists, and in my world, associate CPAs in our firm. And these are people who are high caliber. They have a lot of education and training. But again, sometimes there's an ego involved, and how to mentor those people to give them growth in their career, allow them the ability to do more with their skill set, allow them the ability to earn more with their skill set, but also, taking an interest in their personal life. How do you bond that person to your business by creating an emotional connection with them, and something that you do? And examples of this, I see different things all over the country with, practices that will offer to cover childcare for an associate who's dropping their kids off to come work for them, or they will offer to pay for a boating club membership so that they can enjoy being on a boat in the water with their family like they did as a kid growing up. And it just makes them think, wow, this is because of the place that I work and the gentleman or the lady that I work for, that they care so much for me. That's the kind of thing where you just see people blossom. And when those people blossom, that's when the business blossoms, not the other way around.
Understood.
And that, I think, is a big aha moment for a lot of people, is that they're trying to get their business to grow, and they want these people to do it for them or with them, but they're not growing the people first. When you grow those people, the business follows. And see, again, that's all outside of accounting. That's the thing. It's like the accounting just gets us into the business and seeing it, kind of from a cold angle, but learning the the personal side of it, that's where the magic is to actually grow the business.
On one hand, clients pay us to peek around corners. On another hand, we're not fortune tellers and can predict the future. But a lot of people think the economy is heading into a rough period of time, either a mild recession, maybe a very deep recession. People must be asking you questions all day. What do you think is going to happen, and what should I be doing about it? What do you tell them?
Okay, so I can tell you, number one, I tend to lean to the edge of, yeah, I agree that might be coming. But number two, go back to the experiment that I did. I was in there in 2000, starting late 2009, beginning of 2010. The economy was already depressed. It had been depressed in the 07, 08 recession. That business, we tripled that business in 2.5 years. We didn't worry about the economy outside of our four walls. We created our own economy inside that business, and we focused on what we could control. And in any time of, nationwide economic recession, I think that everyone has to really make that choice. Are you going to participate in an economic recession around you, or are you going to focus and build and grow your own economy in your business? And it's the best time ever when there isn't a recession around you. It's the best time ever to grow your business. Investing, it's the best investment you can make with the best return compared to everything else outside of it. And you have the most control over it. And it's a time to grab market share and make people more aware. And it's the time that people are going to need the impact that you can give them the most. So whether it's coming or not, again, I do believe it's coming. You should always be investing in your business first. But as it's coming, the advice I'm giving to all my clients is to prepare. Save your cash for investment. Be ready to double down on your marketing. Be ready to grow. That is the time to grow and to reinvest in your business.
Yeah, I think that is so spot on, but so counterintuitive because people get nervous in those environments. And all the wealth that's created is not created in the boom times. It's created when people are have cool heads making great investments when things are down. And I think, one of the things that has been so valuable for me is I don't look at things with rose-colored glasses. I don't try to ignore problems that I must deal with. But I do, what I'm hearing you say is I do want to shut out the outside noise that doesn't affect me and will affect my mental state. But more importantly is, when you have, say, a recession or you have a pandemic or you have something, your mind also has to go to, hey, what's great about that? And where is there an opportunity for us to propel our company or our people or our lives forward? And I think that, the people that do that are going to see massive growth, and the people that don't are going to use it for the excuse of why, the things in their life that they wanted to happen didn't happen. All I want to tell you is I just wanted to thank you for taking the time today. I know how busy you are, and I just want to say I appreciate having you in my life and having your partner Brent, and the two of you are a dynamic combination. And as I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what the next decade of our relationship brings to the world. And just thank you for being you.
Well, Mark, in me ending this, I want to say this. I think I've told you this before, but I'll remind you. You asked, you in a way, you were a little bit of an early hero from afar for me. In a speech that I heard you say, it's always stuck with me, and it applies to this recessionary conversation as well. Is that the sentence, opportunity is nowhere or opportunity is now here, spelled the same way, but a little differently, all about how you look at it. And I think that's an attitude that's guided me for a very, very long time. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm glad to be a part of this podcast, and thank you for what you're doing.
Well, I have to tell you that when I work with you and some of the other folks we work with, you have your entrepreneurial synergy and my entrepreneurial synergy, and together, I just feel enormously powerful when we're together. So have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you, my friend. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.